Hey there, David Bell with Previsible, wanting to talk about AI LLM research. So it's a big, how the heck do you deal with this sort of topic right now? And we've been thinking about it a lot because it really matters for the future of SEO and the internet and how we interact with the internet. And so we have been thinking about how to create content and experiences for this. Part of that is just doing the research. So we've created a tool that helps us for our team internally to do this kind of work. There are going to be likely smaller prompts that people put into a language model that is sort of like more traditional type Google searches. We can just show one of those. It could be something like, what are the best running shoes for men with knee problems? And so basically, this is just a fancy plugin that just opens tabs and runs search. So in this case, you can see we've got YouTube, run to the finish, Brooks running, and we've got, of course, the good old Reddit, very well fit health. And what do we have here? Of course, we have the new AI overviews, pulling in Quora, great. All the fun stuff people have grown to love about Google these days. We have YouTube, run to the finish, health, very well fit, Reddit, Quora, and then after that, we got Brooks running. So that's great news for SEOs. When Perplexity tries to render a result, it has to go to Google because Google is essentially the only trusted source for understanding and crawling the entire internet and ranking it well. So it's still necessary in order to feed that into language models to get you a reliable, high quality result. And so wanted to sort of show that in the case of these very sort of like a one-shot prompt, it's sort of pretty like one-to-one of what people might be searching for in Google today. Like if people have been trained to think like men's running shoes, knee problems, that's essentially what they're going to get back in a Perplexity. And you can also kind of expand on that. So let's do another example that's maybe a little bit more in depth. So but before I do, if I wanted to rank for that in Google or in LLMs, then I would try to do traditional SEO in that case. Now, if you want to get into something that's a little bit more in depth, a little bit more complicated, I would go into something like, let's go ChatGPT and Bing instead. I thought of one earlier. It was, I have a company. Well, first let's give it the LLM a job. You are an accountant working for a client whose company was acquired. They need to do 2024 taxes. Can you help provide info on what to do? So a little bit more meaty. It's not sort of like a traditional Google search where I'm just doing it a single shot. I'm going to give it probably like more types of iterations. So what I'll do is I will go to Bing and ChatGPT. And heck, why don't we just do Perplexity and Google as well while we're at it. So, okay. The one piece about this is that when I'm doing all this logged out so that we get a result that is not influenced by my previous interactions with ChatGPT. So I'm going to stay logged out, but I'm going to actually, please rerun with search and turn that on and go there. So now we can see we've got RSMUS, paychecks, TurboTax Intuit. Let's see how that shows up here. Not quite what we're seeing. And so what we can do in the case where, as you can see, it's not a one shot. It's likely adjusting what is actually being pinged into the Bing API. So what I'll do is I will try to reverse engineer that, and that's where SEMrush comes into play. So it will tell me what you need to do in your 2025 filings, and that's all well and good, and then M&A. So you can see that there are two different search intents merged together here. So I want to go and see what this piece is ranking for. So I'm going to go to SEMrush, and you can see, although it's not getting maybe traffic's down slightly, has a lot of keywords, and you could probably deduct, and I'm working on a study on this, but I think a lot of the old school SEO signals really work well in language models. So for instance, things like meta title, kind of over optimization or exact match phrasing in URLs. Let's see. Business tax return. Yeah, that's probably pretty straightforward. So granted, it's a very tough one to go after, but business tax return is likely where this one is going for. Now, the ones that are a little bit further down the line here, and understanding that SEMrush is using Google data, so they're not one-to-one, but there's like a pretty solid overlap to help you find patterns. So then I would also look at this one as well. So it's not a single threaded way of looking at content anymore. It's like if you want to be found in a longer tail, more complex, maybe something that's even better reflective of what your product offers, if you're sort of like in a blue ocean space, then you need to be writing stuff that maybe isn't 100% in the exact use case. You need to be writing about concepts that are related but not overlapping, that maybe you didn't have to do previously with just a standard Google search. Let's see. Here we have another one. Consolidation tax. Consolidated tax return could be the one that we go after there. And so lastly, I think there might have been one more. Yeah, we've got others. So you get the idea here. You need to reverse engineer some of the resources that are being selected because it is likely that ChatGPT is doing more than one call to the Bing API to get all the intents and context that it needs. So sometimes you get really lucky when you have Perplexity. So Perplexity and Google are working together a little bit neater. Perplexity does use the Google API. And so this is actually really cool. This doesn't always pop up, but when it does, it proves the point. So here is, it will give you this little popover where it says the different things that it queried. So you can see it looked at tax implications, acquisition 2024, acquired companies, accounting for acquisitions in 2024. So it proves the point that if we want to get into more complex, longer tail interactions in a language model, we need to be thinking about the 3 or 4 or 5 different concepts in content that need to be created. And I love it when Perplexity does this. It doesn't always, but it's pretty cool. You can see accounting steps for 2024 tax post-acquisition. And so it's giving you the information of like, if you want to show up in Perplexity, you need to be writing content that ranks well in the top page for Google for these different searches that Perplexity is doing. So I understand this is maybe not your standard SEO keyword research video, but it's more around the fact that we need to sort of subvert our thinking when it comes to this, because we need to try to peer into the black box of language models and how they're interacting with the Bing and Google APIs so we can do a better job of writing the content that ranks well and then gets pulled into these places. But be sure to track this information. We do offer a free GA4 tracker that shows you the amount of traffic that is going to your site from these language models. Definitely check it out. It's free to use, and it's really insightful to see the traffic that is coming in from these places because it's only going up. Thanks for your time.